Hey everyone. Um, as promised, this is going to be week one of my 31 Nights of Halloween. Um, since about 2015, maybe 2016, every October, what I've decided to do was watch a scary movie every single night. Um, And about a year or two, maybe 3 years ago, I decided to watch a movie, mostly a new movie every night, where with a movie, and I would select a movie. You know, I would select a movie that I've watched since I was a kid over again, and um, then I would intersperse that throughout the month as opposed to, all at, one particular time. Um, and I have, picked those three. Um, or not those three, well, those particular movies. And typically on Halloween night, I tend to watch a whole bunch of movies that I've watched before. And I've tried to vary them for the most part, except for like maybe one with like Hocus Pocus. But I try to watch like uh, mostly different movies every single night. Um, and so for this week, like I said in my uh, video, it's talking about the Married at First Sight contestants for season 19. I will encompass um, Sunday to Saturday, typically. And since, October 1st landed on a Wednesday this year, I'm doing October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th this video. So it's only going to be four um, video or four movies that I have watched. Um, so with that said, what I'll do is you know, um, I will um, talk about the synopsis of the movie, who's in it, how long the movie is, where to watch it, um, and then um, sort of give my pros and cons of the movie, and then um, give my rating of the movie. Um, give my rating of the movie, and then um, go on to the next one. Um, with that said, hold on one moment. I'm trying to um, get a new thing. All right. All right. So, let's see. It is right here. Sorry for the delay, guys. I am figuring this out. All right. So, the first movie that I watched on October 1st was called Host. So, basically, the gist of the movie is that when COVID first hit, Six friends host a weekly Zoom call. Um, and one week, um, they hire a medium to hold a seance, and it goes too far where an evil spirit starts to invade their homes one by one. The film stars Haley Bishop, and these are, when I mention these names, they all go by their first name. So Haley Bishop playing Haley, Gemma Moore playing Gemma, Emma Louise Webb as Emma, Radina Drundova as Radina, and then Caroline Ward as Caroline. It's just over 56 minutes long, so it's not that um, long to get through. I had some issues with other parts of it, which I'll get to, that I think would obviously make the runtime be longer, because of the fact that I I expect, what I want them to put in is going to make it at least maybe 10 minutes longer, if not like 15 or 20. But I mean, it would just depend on, how they could flesh out that part of the story that I would like them to flesh out better. But pretty quick, easy watch, especially if you like found footage horror. Um, I I do like found footage horror myself. It's something I kind of got into with the Blair Witch Project, and then another one called Quarantine. And its sequel, the sequel wasn't good as Quarantine 2 wasn't as good as Quarantine 1, but it's just the stuff like recently with movies like I said, the Blair Witch Project and Quarantine and stuff like that. And most notably, what is it? I am blanking on the name. Bear with me, guys. Stuff like Searching and Missing. Those are bigger budgeted, I believe. And then there's Unfriended. So and its sequel, Unfriended Dark Web, I believe is what it's called. But yeah, those it's movies like those that are pretty have bigger budgets, I think, and then uh, they have a better you know cast and all that. I just say that not to say that the cast here is inferior. It's just that and I'll get to it later, but because I had a little issue with the acting, um, but yeah, the runtime is not that bad, considering how it could be, and all that stuff. But where to watch? You can watch it on Shutter, if you have that, which is where I watched it. Tubi, but you will have ads with that, and Plex. But you have to have your ad blocker off if you have an ad blocker for that. So now, getting into the pros and cons of what I liked about Host. Pros, again, like I said, up top, short runtime. The second being the deaths are pretty gruesome and um, realistic given the plot, which is, they piss off a spirit um, that they have to end up um, trying to pacify and all that stuff. But um, I thought, given spiritual horror or supernatural horror is or supernatural found footage horror, I should say specifically, given that type of genre within the horror genre. It was um, pretty decent, and all that stuff. Now, going into the cons, I think they could have given some backstory, especially given that the top billing for this movie was Haley Bishop. She was number one on the casting list. Um, and everyone else was, she was American, or at least I assume American, but maybe Canadian. And everyone else was British, or British sounding. Um, and so I kind of personally, I would kind of like the backstory for her, um, and how she managed to make her way to the UK, but that's personally me. And then the second one was the CGI was pretty noticeable in one part. If you've watched the movie, you will see what I'm talking about. And with that, I would give it and I'll be rating for all the movies that I watched this month out of 5. So anything out of 5, I'll whatever I decide to give it, it will be out of 5. So for host, it will be 3.8 out of 5. The biggest drawback was for me, like I said, the backstory I think could have been there a little bit more. Because I mean, well, I also wanted to add that another drawback to me was the acting. Um, I felt like some of the um, acting was a little bit too like cringy. Like it didn't seem like they were putting on too much. Like they were just it kind of drew me out of the scenes. Like they were overacting in the scare department, and so I didn't really. And that'll come up in um what I think of the last movie that I watched for tonight. Um, but they were just overacting, and it just wasn't it. It just really it was noticeable enough to me that it brought me out of certain scenes, and so that's also part of the reason why I gave it a 3.8 out of 5. But otherwise, decent movie. So now for night 2, I did Don't Knock Twice. Um, it is about a mom who was trying to reconnect with her daughter, and in doing so becomes sort of a byproduct of an urban legend, um, of a demonic witch. So it stars Katie Sackhoff, um, who plays Jess, Lucy Boynton. I'm hoping I did not mispronounce her last name, but she plays Chloe, the daughter. Katie Sackhoff is Jess, the mother, and then Richard Milan, Ben, and Nick Moran, Detective Boardman. Now, the movie is an hour and 33 minutes long, so it's about a typical runtime for a horror movie. So not that um, bad, considering it could be. Um, one of the movies I will watch later on has, I think, because I watched it in theaters earlier this year, so um, it's that one is like a over 2 hours long, so it could be worse, but you know, but typical runtime. Where you can watch this right now, it is streaming on Paramount Plus, but you have to select the Showtime version, whether it's a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription. It doesn't matter. You have to select the Showtime version of Paramount Plus, not just the regular version. So just to kind of give you that sort of um, caveat there. Um, while this may not be found footage specifically, this is also dealing with supernatural horror as well. I really enjoy the supernatural horror personally. I mean, my first love has always been slasher horror, but supernatural horror um, is, I think, a close second. But basically, the pros and cons of this one, the pros being some of the scenes look really cool. Like for example, there's one where there's a sink and a faucet. Um, with like hands coming up out of the sink, and another one with a video call going on. I won't give any details other than that about the scare scenes, but I really did like the scare scenes and all that. There's like a sort of knocker on one of the doors that it's early on in the film, and I think it's in the shape of a goat's head. Um, so I like the look of that doorknob, so I like that. Um, the demon creature thing, being lanky slash skinny with long talons and nails, was different. You don't know. At least as far as I'm concerned, I don't really know, see much of that, except maybe in like the Conjuring universe. Um, so that was definitely different. Um, I'm not entirely sure if I like that we didn't necessarily see its face. I mean, I'm more of a visual person, so I mean, I would prefer if we saw the face of the person or the being that is doing the killing or haunting or whatever. I personally would. I mean, you don't have to see it all the time, like 100%, but I would prefer if we saw it. I don't necessarily like not seeing the actual being shrouded in darkness, because just seeing I don't know, to me that's not scary. Um, so, but the cons for this movie for me are some of the scare scenes, some of the other scare scenes that I watched seems really impractical and silly, and it looked CGI-ish, and seeing that kind of took me out of it a little bit. Um, so yeah, I would prefer if maybe they had tightened that up a bit, because it was noticeable enough to me that I was like, I don't like that. Um, And then the second con for me was that, and this is more generalized, but was an issue to me in this particular film, that I get horror movies are supposed to be, dark and um, especially when they do scare scenes. But I mean, if they're so dark, I literally cannot even see the protagonist or any other side character in the scene. Then what's the point of having the scene? It might as well just chuck it and leave it on the cutting room floor. Um, but that's specific to this movie, but also more generalized too, because that's what I had an issue with Tarot, because I watched that like a year or two ago, and um, a lot of the scenes, the scare scenes were really, really, really dark. And even if I watched it at night, and I had like the no lights on, it was still um it was still really dark. And I couldn't even see the killers. So I'm like, yeah. This is just partially a complaint to a specific movie, but an overall complaint for horror in general. Um, but given that, the rating for this movie will be a 4.5 out of 5. Um, so yeah. All right. Next up, what I watched for night 3 on October 3rd is Jester. Um, I had started out watching another movie last night, and I didn't realize that I watched it last year. And I typically, like I said, tend to rewatch movies from my 31 Nights of Halloween um, when um, I I usually watch movies that I love and I grew up with. Excuse me. So I didn't want to rewatch a movie that I literally just watched last year, and it was okay, but it wasn't my favorite. So it's like it's not one of my favorites. That's why I didn't. Uh, that's why I switched to The Gesture last night. But essentially, Gesture is about a malevolent being called the Jester, who terrorizes the inhabitants of a small town on Halloween night. And in this particular night, um, he's terrorizing two strange sisters who try to come together and try to, you know, defeat him. Um, it stars Michael Sheffield as the Jester, Lelia Symington as Emma, Delaney White as Jocelyn, Matt Servito as John, Lena Jones as Madison, and Mia Ray Roberts as Alexis. The movie is an hour and 30 minutes long. Again, not that long of a runtime, so pretty quick. Um, where you can watch is Shutter, YouTube for, and I believe for free, but I believe you have to have YouTube Premium in order to watch that for free. And that's where I watched it, was on YouTube. You can also watch it on AMC Plus. I think um, Apple TV Plus with AMC Plus add-on, Prime Video with the AMC Plus add-on, the Roku channel, Shutter, Apple TV Plus with the Shutter add-on, Prime Video with the Shutter add-on, and you yeah. Um So I was getting a lot of different vibes with this movie. One of them being like the opening. There's a sort of like long little montage opening at the beginning, and it made me think of Halloween, the original 1978, and then Halloween 2 with the pumpkin montage opening. And then I was also getting Art the Clown tease as well, particularly because both the Gesture and Art the Clown tend to be there's a phrase that I wrote something down and I don't want to necessarily say it on here, but pretty sassy. There's another word that I was gonna add, but again, I'm trying not to say it on here, but um, yeah. But yeah, so I was getting a lot of different feeling, like other horror movies throughout this. Like I said, Halloween, the first two Halloweens. um, Terrifier, um, Hellfest, and Tarot specifically, like those. Um, so yeah, also to kind of throw that out there, this movie is based off of three shorts by the let me see who is the director. I should have wrote that down, but I did not, unfortunately. Um, by Colin Krawchuk, um, who also co-wrote this with Michael Sheffield, who coincidentally plays the Jester. And let me look. I believe he played the Jester in all three shorts. Um, yeah, he played the Jester in all three shorts. They're the first two are like 10, 11 minutes, and then the third one is 14. I believe you can watch that on YouTube. I watched the first one last night after I watched the main one, but the theatrical release, but um yeah. There it looks like they're coming out with a second Gesture movie, which this year, which is looks like it will be released. um well, it's already been released. It looks like it was released September 18th this year. So I didn't know that going into watching it, but I definitely will try to see um if I can try to catch that somewhere. Hopefully it'll be on Shutter soon, like in the next like month and a half, 2 months. Um but yeah, I definitely you don't necessarily have to watch the shorts necessarily, because I mean I only watched, like I said, I only watched the first one, so I don't um know what happened in the second or third one, but I don't necessarily think you have to watch the first three or the shorts in order to um watch the movie itself. Sorry about that. I live by a very busy street, and I get motorcycles all the time, zipping back and forth on that thing. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention the shorts specifically in case you want to, go look at it. Um, Going into the pros for this one, I like that the kills were at least somewhat specialized to specific people. I mean, I don't think every kill was, but I think that um, the kills, like half the kills were like specialized to people, and you'll notice. I think you'll know which one I'm talking about. But yeah, I think the kills were pretty um you know, specialized in some cases. The special effects, particularly like the Jester's mask and his outfit, I really enjoyed watching. And I do like the fact that in this particular film, there's you know, um, family drama going on as well. And I like how the interwovenness of the um because there's guilt going on in there. There's guilt going on in particular with one character, so I do like that they kind of incorporated that. Um, but my one major con is that they didn't have a backstory to the Jester. They may have in the second or third short, so I may have to go back and watch that. But from what I can tell, like since it's a feature film, I would have liked some sort of um, backstory to the Jester, um, and like where he came from, and the sisters trying to figure that out, and you know because yeah, with Tarot, I really enjoyed that they had a backstory for, and this is, I mean, a spoiler. So if you haven't watched it, please go watch it real quick, and then come back and listen to the spoiler for quite a second, for like a second. But they had the witch in the Tarot, or the yeah, I believe it was a witch. She They gave a backstory to the witch and all that, and I really did enjoy that backstory. Maybe because I really enjoy witches, and and all that stuff, and because Charmed is my favorite supernatural show. But so I enjoyed the backstory of the witch particularly, because I love the um, how everything looked with the witch and the tarot cards and all that stuff. So I would have, since I enjoyed the look of the jester, and his mask and his outfit and all that stuff, and his and I like how what's his name, Michael Sheffield, I believe that's what his name was. Yeah, Michael Sheffield. I like how he embodied the jester, just like Art the Clown, the guy who plays Art the Clown. I can't remember his name, but the guy who plays Art the Clown in the Terrifier movies. I liked how he embodied Art the Clown, and Art the Clown is actually based off of All Hallows Eve, or the Terrifier movies, I should say, are based off of All Hallows Eve, because those were specifically. Um, I mean, those were, I believe, feature films as well, but I think they're more anthology, like an anthology movie, or I don't know. I haven't actually watched the All Hallows Eve, so I'm not entirely sure how that movie is. But he was like more of a side character rather than the main character, like the main villain. So but yeah, either way, I like how they dude who plays Art the Clown really encapsulates him and as a character. So yeah, I mean, I would prefer a um a backstory for the Jester. My other con for this is that I think there was like some close-ups of I believe uh Emma, the woman who plays Emma. Like particularly in like one scene, they were like doing close-ups of her at a weird angle, and I didn't think that worked. It felt off to me. It was just like, weird. So I'm like, ah, I kind of was like, you kind of need to like, I don't know. It didn't work here. I mean, in other movies it might have worked, but like here, I don't think it worked at all whatsoever. But otherwise, I mean, and the acting was a little, it seemed a little overacting to me too, here and there, um, in some parts. That kind of, brought down my rating a little bit. But as far as my rating goes, I give this a 4.5 out of 5. Um, but it was mainly just the fact that the reason why I took off a lot of, like, even most of that point 0.5 was because of the fact that the Jester didn't have a backstory. So if they had just maybe if um, Colin if Colin Krawchuk had maybe taken some time to like invest some time to writing like a backstory, it may have been an hour and 45 minutes at most. I'm hoping like adding another like 10 to 12 minutes probably wouldn't have hurt it. But again, I think this was made on a budget, so I mean, you can only do so much um, with the budget you have. But hopefully, in the second one and in Gesture 2, I'm hoping that um, with the second one, they go a little bit deeper into the Jester's background, given that, the first one obviously did well enough that it got a sequel. So I'm hoping that with the second one, like I said, they get some sort of like backstory on him and try to make it plausible, hopefully. But um, yeah, anyway, so with that said, the movie I watched tonight is called The Blackening. It's more of a horror comedy. And I think it leans more into the comedy part rather than the horror part, but um, I thoroughly enjoyed it personally. But the synopsis of this is that there are seven friends: Morgan, Sean, Allison, Lisa, Dwayne, um, Namdi, Shanika, Clifton, and King all go away for um, Juneteenth weekend. And they end up trapped in a cabin with a killer who has some sort of vendetta. So the movie stars Grace Byers as Allison, Jermaine Fowler as Clifton, Melvin Gregg as King, X Mayo or Mayo, I'm gonna say X Mayo, as Shanika, Dwayne Perkins as Dwayne. He was like the only one who kept his first name as his character. Antoinette Robertson as Lisa, etc. So this is an hour and 37 minutes long. Um, where you can watch this is Netflix with or without the ads, Apple TV Plus with the Stars add-on, and it looks like YouTube TV. Um, Now, like I said, off jump in the first 10 minutes, I was in love with this movie because I was laughing my ass off. And if a movie can grab me within the first 10 minutes, for sure, and especially with humor, like, you know, I'm sold. I am sold. I might end up, if I can try to swing it, see if, and swing if I can find like buying this movie, I think I will, because this was hilarious to me. I mean, the humor went a long way, in my opinion, to me liking this movie. Um, and um, I mean, there was like a few cons to me, but the humor pretty much made up for it, in my opinion. So basically the pros for it was obviously, like I said, hilarious. There was one kill in the first like 5 minutes, maybe 8 minutes at most. That was it. It reminded me of uh I know what you did last summer, the one that came out this year, early this year, where one of the characters died with a certain object that was different than what typically people die in that particular franchise. If you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about, especially if you watch this one too. Um, and I did like the twist because there was actually a couple twists, like two twists in particular, um, that I didn't see coming. Um, so yeah, that those are my reasons for why I liked it. But the cons for this one, um, other than the first kill, it wasn't very imaginative as far as kills go, and in the killing department. It would have probably been better if it had diversity in the killings, in my opinion. So um I'm hoping, because I think I saw somewhere online that they're thinking about a possible sequel to this movie, and if you watched it, you'll know why. I mean, it feels like there might be, like, a possibility for a sequel because based off of the ending. But yeah, if they are greenlit with getting another movie, I would say please try to be a little bit more diversified in the killing department. I get it. This is more horror, comedy leaning than horror leaning, but if you're gonna, you know, kind of try to center the movie around um, horror, or try to lean into the horror at the crux of it, then I think you need to try to um, give a little bit more, like, be more creative in the killing department instead of using just one method of killing. The second one is that in the middle act there seemed to be um, a lot of overacting when it came to the characters seeming scared. Um, that took me out of it a little bit, but um, otherwise, yeah, like I said, the humor, the comedy really landed, like, I think like 99% of the time. There may have been like one or two instances towards the end where I was just like, it didn't land so much, but maybe that was just because, I mean, maybe I didn't get it. But I mean, for the most part, the humor landed 99% of the time. So that's why for this movie, I give it a 4.8 out of 5, as opposed to, like, you know, lower than that, because the humor just landed perfectly for me for the most part. Um, but yeah, like, um, I'm looking forward to the um, rest of the movies that I watch, particularly the ones that I pick for the ones that I rewatch because I grew up watching them. So I'm really looking forward to, like, giving my thoughts on, the ones that I grew up loving and hoping that you like them too. Um, but um, with that said, this is week one, or part one, of my 31 Nights of Halloween. Um, and hopefully, this can become a thing every October for me from now on. And hope you guys like it. I hope you guys like, share, subscribe, and come back for this every single week. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.